fought what was his name? I think it was Mauricio Herrera. I mean, that guy fought top guys and went to the
Yeah.
with them. Okay, and you go in there and you wipe them out. I believe 3. And
3. Yeah.
so at this point now, coming up, when you know that you got the knockouts and they're kind of tagged you as the knockout power puncher, I know there's pressure, like when you go in there against the guys that you're supposed to beat, and the pressure's there to knock them out. Has that, when you started climbing the ladder now at these last couple fights with the guys that you've been in there with, is that still like before the fight? Is that like, I want to knock this guy out, but once the bell rings, does it kind of change? How's your approach? Because 16-0 with 16 knockouts there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and a lot of people don't
Yeah.
think there is, but a lot plays into that.
So basically, I kind of make it turn into my favor. So at first, in the beginning of my career, I wanted to knock everybody out, and I mean, I still want to, but it was kind of more of a like, I felt like it was a like I had to do it. So first 4 fights, I knocked them out in the first round. All right, that's cool. I felt like I could have looked way better doing it. Even if I had knocked them out in the second or third round, I could have just looked better. When I first turned pro, I kind of just looked more like I was just throwing as hard as I could, hoping that I could land, the hardest punches and get him out early. Well, in my 5th fight, I fought this tough guy, and I almost had him out of there in the first round, and I tried my best to get him out of there, and I didn't get him out of there. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now? In the second round, man, I was gassed. I couldn't do anything that second round. I did as much as I could, just stay composed and all that, but I really messed up that fight. I got him out in the third. I was able to finally use my head for the first time, and I set him up. I think that was the first fight I stopped someone by setting him up. But after that fight, I completely changed as a fighter. I grew. I started not going for the knockout anymore. So fast forward from that. Now, these past few fights, I told myself, okay, you want the knockout, but it has to come naturally. So now I really don't look for it anymore. Yeah, I want to land the hard shots. I pretty much throw every shot to be a hard shot, and I want to make sure they all land. But never do I think, okay, this is gonna be the knockout punch, because that's where I always mess up mentally. Then that kind of stiffen up a little bit. I think that happens to everyone, or it doesn't. I don't know. It happens to me. So I really try my best not to put too much pressure on myself. And now I just I feel like the knockouts come a little more better now that I kind of trick myself into knocking them out by saying, okay, I don't want to knock them out, because it comes naturally. Yeah.
And that's funny you say that too. I mean, that's exactly how, and that's good that you do that. Like, you pick up. I mean, you're saying now, like, yeah, everybody wants a knockout. Boxing, anything, we know now this far, anything can happen during the fight, and the quicker you get somebody out, the better it is. And some guys, unfortunately, don't have it like that to, get somebody out. But yeah, it's that little thing in the back of the head, like, where even in training, it's just a little different. Like, the training gets a little bit more harder. You don't really realize, or you're not planning it, like, you're going into training camp. You guys know you got 8 rounds. So you're going to train for an 8-round fight. You got a 10-round. You're going to train you're going to be prepared. But yeah, once you start getting that level, when you have those little experiences like you did where you're hitting somebody. I mean, I had a guy, I was hitting him with bombs, and he was grunting at me. Now, I just fought all these fights before that, knocking everybody out. And the harder I hit this dude, the louder he grunted, and in your head, I'm going, shit, man, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, and then, like you said, I'm starting to get like a little anxiety, because now I'm breathing heavy, and I'm going, I ain't used to this. This is the 4th round or the 3rd round. But yeah, it's crazy and hard. So you kind of start training a little bit more for those in case you go to the distance.
Yeah.
Getting that mind frame of, we'll get them out. If there's 8 rounds, maybe we'll take 7, but we'll get them out. And I've noticed that you said every fight that you throw hard punches, but I remember from early on in your career, and as being I guess a radio personnel or a host of my own podcast.
Yeah.
One of my things was I was a little concerned about is everything too hard, and was you going to be predictable? And the minute I said that, a couple of fights, it was like out of nowhere, you kind of started picking and choosing, though. I mean, I know you still throw them hard, but I noticed your shots, some are hard, but not everyone is like that. You mix them up more. Was there a little bit of that you worked on in camp?
I feel like I worked on it, not knowing that I'm working on it. I feel like I'm just progressing naturally, And my dad does help me a lot as well. You know, he's very smart, and I've kind of figured out how to throw hard without not throwing hard. You know,
Yeah.
just kind of adding my body weight into it without, you know, like falling forward or even I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like I add more torque to it, but I'm really not throwing hard. Like I can throw them all day. It's kind of hard to explain. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just gotta learn how to uh, control your power. You know, there's different types of power shots. You know, people have different types of power. People have that crushing power. People have the power that hurts you in your freaking bone. People have the power where it spreads out horizontally instead of going in. It's different types of power, and you got to be able to change the power, I guess. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel like I try to do. Like I feel like my punches still hurt people, even if I'm not really trying to throw it hard, just the way I'm throwing them.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you know, because that was a good point you brought up about different types of power, and a lot for some people maybe they could understand. Who would you say out of your opponents that you fought so far where they hit you, and it may not have been like anything that landed cleanly, like where they just hit you in the shoulder and you were kind of like, damn, you know, this guy got some heavy hands. Was there any
Yeah.
certain fighter like that, or was you kind of always
Um,
just in that mode?
I don't know. There really hasn't been a fighter yet that has. Oh shit, I gotta watch out for him or whatever. You know, if you saw the Brad Solomon fight, he wasn't really throwing me hard, but his punches were kind of heavy. He was moving me around a lot, but
Yeah.
they weren't hurting. They weren't hurting at all. Um, it would be a lot more sparring. Like Jose Ramirez, he doesn't have the power where he'll move you, but it hurts you. It goes into your bone, you know, into your muscle. He
Yeah.
he hits pretty hard. Mikey Garcia, he's a little in between. His punches are heavy; it'll move you, but they also hurt as well.
Yeah.
So I've been experiencing all that in sparring, not necessarily in fights yet, and I feel like that sparring is kind of making me uh little used to the power in fight. So I'm not really feeling it when I spar other people. You know, I spar 160 and 168 sometimes. When I get in the ring with the 147, it's I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not really feeling the power right now. But yeah.
Well, those would be a couple questions down the line here. I'm going to ask you too about that because I'm interested in that. But yeah, that was perfect timing on that when the guy asked about Mikey's power. So it was perfect timing when you answered it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even see it.
Yeah. So with all that going, you know, how you were talking about going from amateurs and then into the pros, how was now you started off your pro career in Texas or yeah, in Texas. And then,
In California, actually. Some
oh,
people think that I turned pro in the Cowboy Stadium. It was I had fought one fight before that.
okay, but no, where was you
Yeah,
training out of though? You were fighting out of
I was in California. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but then you end up going with Garcia around what fight?
For my 10th fight.
10th fight. So yeah, and then
Yes.
your dad and everybody's a part of that. Um, how was that out there? You know, for me, again, I hate this is not an interview about me, but I could kind of relate it. Coming from Youngstown to Garcia's out there in Oxnard was a world of difference, man. Just everything about it. How was it kind of for you? Because especially when you went out to Oxnard with Garcia, I mean, his stable was crazy good when I was there, but every year he's just like more and more and more and
Adding
more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. How was I mean, from everything from just the learning with him to being in there with everybody that's in his stable and all the talent from um, prospects to contenders to world champions. You know, sparring. I bet you sparring got to be brutal. How is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one I was about to say. So the first one and probably the most important one in my opinion, because I love sparring, is the sparring is crazy good over there. You know, you got a lot of world champions there. You got Jose Ramirez, Mikey Garcia, Josecito Lopez. You got some Olympians there like Lindolfo Delgado, Misael. There's a lot of fighters there. Even the lower ones are I don't want to say lower, but you know the non-champion ones are good as well. You know they give me really good sparring, and I feel like that's where I progress the most. That's literally fighting without fighting. You know,
Yeah.
so that's that's my favorite part about the gym. Not only that, Robert is very smart. You know he we do stuff on the mitts where I really wouldn't think about it, but he's like he's implementing stuff that I wouldn't think about. Like, okay, I didn't know you could do that, and I do it in sparring. All I do, like they don't see it either. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but like he has another way of thinking. He's a really good coach.
Yeah, yeah, he is. You know, the one thing I liked, the first thing he told me when I went out there was, he goes, you know, it's too far in the game now to change your style. You know, I'm
Yeah,
not turning you into this fancy boxer or anything like that. He goes, what we're going to do is sharpen the tools that you got. Not right there. Something as simple as that from a guy who's training all these world champions is someone that he knows what he's talking about, and just, you know, trust him and he'll work with you. And, you know, unfortunately, it was towards the end of my career, and I was kind of on my way out. But yeah, Robert, and that's a great place to train at, man. It really
yeah,
is.
that's smart as well because like he said, you can't really add on to it. You can I mean, it's not necessarily even that, you know, some trainers train their fighters like they're all the same. You know, you can't really do that. That's like the problem with the school systems too nowadays. They're teaching everyone the same way, the same skills. Like they have all the same problems that they need to, you know. So
Yeah.
different boxers are good at different things and are less good at other things. So you need to focus on the stuff that they're not good at, make them okay, and then focus on stuff that they're good at and make them even better. You know, you gotta really like personalize their training, and Robert does a really good job of that.
Hey, I got to tell you something. I just see our my favorite group, probably yours too, Avenged Sevenfold on here. They thought you said boner or bro. I don't know what they were talking about, but
What?
I got to tell you a funny story with that group, and I don't know if they remember. I doubt they remember. Them guys tour all the time, so I know they're a mutual group. But
Okay,
yeah, that's my favorite group out. But yeah, I got to tell
dude,
you,
yeah, it's
at the
mine
end of the
too, bro.
interview,
They go hard, bro.
yeah, because I want to ask you on the music part too. I really want to get in that, so
Okay.
we'll do that at the end here. Yeah, but it was a funny story with them, and